Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the story of one of the world's most incredible waterways. It's a river that has literally shaped landscapes, cradled civilizations, and is even revered as a living goddess. We're talking about the Ganga.
All right, let's kick things off with a number that just gives you a sense of the sheer scale we're talking about here. 2,525 kilometers. That's the immense length of the Ganga, making it one of the absolute giants in Asia.
And if you thought that was big, check this out. Over 860,000 square kilometers. That's the size of the Ganges Basin in India alone. We're talking about a vast area that drains nearly a quarter of the entire country. Just massive.
Okay, so let's get into the journey itself. We're going to follow the Ganga right from its icy start, way up in the Himalayas, trace its path across the superpopulated plains, all the way until it finally meets the sea. And trust me, this is way more than just a story about water. It's really the story of a nation's lifeline.
So, before we even start mapping out its physical path, we've got to understand why the Ganga is just so important. This isn't just about geography, you know? It's a cultural, a spiritual bedrock for the entire nation of India.
I mean, just look at these numbers. They're absolutely staggering, right? A single river system supporting nearly half of India's entire population. It supplies over a third of the country's surface water. And as it winds its way through these 5 states, its importance goes way beyond just the stats. It's revered as one of India's holiest rivers, really woven into the very fabric of daily life.
So, the big question is, where does a river this mighty even begin? Well, the Ganga's origin story isn't some simple dot on a map. No, it's a super dramatic meeting of forces, way up in the icy peaks of the Himalayas.
Yeah, see, the Ganga doesn't just pop out of the ground fully formed. It's actually born from the meeting of these powerful mountain streams, which we call head streams. And for the Ganga, there are 2 main ones you gotta know: the Bhagirathi and the Alaknanda.
And here they are, the 2 parent rivers, if you will. On one side, you've got the Bhagirathi. It comes from the famous Gangotri Glacier and is often thought of as the traditional source. You can just imagine it, cutting these incredible gorges as it rushes down. Then you have the Alaknanda, which is kind of like a collector, gathering water and power from other glaciers and rivers before their big meeting. Okay, so this whole process of becoming the Ganga actually happens in 5 key steps. These are called the Panch Prayag, or the 5 sacred confluences. At each of the first 4, another powerful river joins the Alaknanda, making it stronger and stronger. But it's that final one, Dev Prayag, that's the real game changer. That's where the Bhagirathi and the Alaknanda finally merge, and at that point, boom, the river is officially born as the Ganga.
All right, so once it leaves those steep, rocky Himalayan gorges, the Ganga, well, it completely changes its personality. It goes from this raging mountain torrent to a wide, slow, meandering river, starting its long journey across the huge, fertile Gangetic plains.
And this journey across the plains has some really key milestones. First, at Hardwar, it hits the flatlands, and right away, its water is diverted for irrigation. Then near Kannauj, it gets its first big tributary from the plains, the Ramganga. But the most famous meeting point? That's at Prayaraj, where it merges with the massive Yamuna River. Finally, way downstream, it hits the Farakka Barrage, which is like a giant control gate that decides where the river goes next.
Now, you might be wondering, where does all this water come from? Well, the Ganga doesn't travel alone. Think of it like the main artery in a massive circulatory system. It's constantly being fed by a huge network of other rivers, tributaries, that drain this enormous area.
And this table here gives you just a peek into that incredible network. You've got rivers starting in Uttarakhand, Tibet, Nepal, central India. The main takeaway is just how diverse the sources are. Each one of these rivers adds its own water, its own sediment, its own character to create the mighty Ganga. But you know, not all these family members are well-behaved. Take the Kosi River, for example. This one carries a ton of silt down from the Himalayas. So much so that its path is super unstable, and it causes these frequent, absolutely devastating floods. It's no wonder it's earned the terrifying nickname, the Sorrow of Bihar.
So all this water from all those sources, it's all building up to the river's grand finale. As the Ganga gets close to the Bay of Bengal, it doesn't just end. Oh no, it creates one of the most amazing natural features on the entire planet.
Right here, at the Farakka Barrage in India, the river basically splits in two. It has to make a choice. The branch on the right, the Bhagirathi Hooghly, keeps heading south through West Bengal, right past the city of Calcutta. But the main channel, which now gets a new name, the Padma, crosses the border into Bangladesh, where it's about to meet another giant, the Brahmaputra.
And when these two monster rivers get together, the amount of sediment they drop is just mind-blowing. All that silt builds up to form the Ganga-Brahmaputra Delta. And get this, it's the largest delta in the world. It's this incredibly complex, constantly changing landscape, a whole web of waterways, swamps, and islands, all covered by the famous mangrove forests, the Sundarbans.
Okay, so after following this absolutely epic journey from a frozen glacier all the way down to the sea, what's the big picture here? What's the lasting legacy of the Ganga?
Well, I think this quote from our source material really nails it. The Ganga River system is more than just a waterway. It is a vital artery that nourishes life. It's not just a line on a map. It's an ecological engine, a cultural touchstone, and an economic lifeline for hundreds of millions of people. It's everything.
But here's the thing, that vital artery, it's under some serious pressure right now. Urbanization, pollution, climate change, the very things that rely on the river are also, unfortunately, threatening its health and its future.
And that leaves us with a really big, powerful question to think about. This ancient, sacred river is facing some very modern threats. So the question for all of us is, how do we protect a system that gives life to millions?